student will shortlist it. जैसे ही वो बच्चा शॉर्टलिस्ट करेगा, उसके माई प्लान्स में उसकी विश लिस्ट है, यहाँ विश लिस्ट में उसके पास वो चला जाएगा एग्जाम। तो जैसे ही वो एग्जाम उसकी विश लिस्ट में ऐड हुआ, उसको पोर्टल ऑटोमेटिकली इसके फॉर्म ओपनिंग एंड क्लोजिंग डेट के रिमाइंडर्स और नोटिफिकेशंस देने लग जाएगा। ये फॉर्म खुल गया, या कोई कॉलेज उसने शॉर्टलिस्ट किया बच्चे ने, तो वो एवरीथिंग ही विल गेट द नोटिफिकेशन फॉर एवरीथिंग। That is under the my plan section. The portal will give the suggestions automatically based on the profile. If he connects to any counselor, if the counselor has given any special notes for the student, under the my counseling session, those notes will be there, and his psychometric assessment reports will be in this section. So this is the my plan student for this. Now if the student completes his profile, he has a section to complete his profile, where he can give his basic information, education related information, अभी वो किस क्लास में है, किस स्कूल में है, किस बोर्ड में है, और उसकी प्रीवियस क्लासेस के सारा रिजल्ट वो यहाँ पे डाल सकता है। 9th 10th 8th 7th कितनी भी, जिस भी इसकी क्लास का जो रिजल्ट था, दैट ही कैन पुट हियर। अगर उसने कोई एनटीएससी, एनएसओ, आईएम, केवीपीवाई कहीं भी उसने कोई पार्टिसिपेट किया है, वो यहाँ से डालेगा उसमें, उस कौन सी क्लास में पार्टिसिपेट किया था, क्या उसकी रैंक वगैरह आई थी, ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन कैन बी। और एनईपी जो कह रही है कि बच्चे को एप्टीट्यूड पे और इंटर्नशिप्स और क्या क्या अचीवमेंट्स है, अ लॉट ऑफ इंपॉर्टेंस हैज बीन गिवन टू दिस। ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन ही कैन फीड हियर, कि अगर उसने कोई स्पोर्ट्स में कंपटीशन में पार्टिसिपेट किया है, कोई इंटर्नशिप उसने की है, कोई उसका कोई एप्टीट्यूड जो है वो, फॉर एग्जांपल उसका 10th क्लास में न्यूमेरिकल एप्टीट्यूड का कोई टेस्ट हुआ था, स्कूल ने किया था, कहीं पे भी उसका क्या उसका रेंज आया था, तो ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन कैन बी पुट इन हियर। नाउ हाउ दिस इंफॉर्मेशन इज helpful for the school, I will just take you to the principal's dashboard. This is the dashboard for the principal, wherein there are 5-6 sections, my students, जहाँ पे principal has the all the students here, all the students in the school are here. वो click करके जो भी बच्चे का result है उसके dashboard में जाके that can be seen. Just a moment. Yeah. Now this section is my champions. A school has champions in the various categories. फॉर एग्जाम्पल स्पोर्ट्स कैटेगरी में कोई चैंपियन हो सकता है, एकेडमिक्स में चैंपियन, एनटीएससी का चैंपियन, डांस म्यूजिक का चैंपियन, आर्ट्स ड्रामा थिएटर का कोई बच्चा अच्छा करता है, तो द स्टूडेंट कैन बी एडेड हियर इन द माई स्कूल माई चैंपियन। सपोज फॉर एग्जाम्पल दिस अ सेक्शन स्पोर्ट्स चैंपियन, and a school can add any student. Suppose this is a student that needs to be added into the sports championship section, he will be added now. This is a student, the student needs to be added to the dance and music section, student can be added. So in dance and music section, the so student would be shown. Next is my alumnus. तो जो बच्चा 12th के बाद पास हो गया, वो किस कॉलेज में उसने एडमिशन लिया, किस कोर्स में उसने एडमिशन लिया, सो दैट नेक्स्ट ईयर जो आने वाला बैच है वो इसको देख सके कि किस हमारे स्कूल का बच्चा कहाँ कहाँ किस किस कोर्स को करने के लिए किस कॉलेज में गया हुआ है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल रजुल, जस्ट नाउ व्हाइल वी वर डिस्कसिंग, मैंने आपका नाम इसमें एंटर कर दिया, रजुल ने नॉन मेडिकल स्ट्रीम ली एंड वट एवर दिस कॉलेज से किया, तो student can be added here, any student in the alumnus section. Now, one more student. So, this is the alumnus section of the school, and in my knowledge resource, the school can also have the access to various careers, various exams, colleges, all the competitive events, in the dance competitive events, in the NTSC and NSO competitive events, in the music competitive events of the uh, arts, theater, drama, and all the others. And the section below shows the graph of the school's performance, like what is the overall verbal aptitude of the students in the school, what is the overall numerical aptitude of students of your school, what is the overall logical aptitude of your school, how many students have completed their profile, how many students have given the psychometric assessment, how many students are realistic in your school, how many school students are investigative. बेसिकली ये सर जॉन हॉलैंड कोड का राइसेक मॉडल है. Realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional are the type of interests that any person possesses. All of us possess all 6 of them. Some in the higher range, some in the lower range. तो रियलिस्टिक कितने बच्चे हैं? अब रियलिस्टिक बच्चों के लिए एक स्पेशल टाइप ऑफ करियर होता है जो उनको चूज करना चाहिए. इन्वेस्टिगेटिव कितने बच्चे हैं? फॉर एग्जाम्पल, रियलिस्टिक पीपल वर्क विद हैंड्स एंड मशीन रादर देन पीपल. इन्वेस्टिगेटिव पीपल वर्क ऑन द डाटा एंड इन्वेस्टिगेशन. आर्टिस्टिक बच्चे कितने हैं, सोशल कितने हैं, ऑल दोज. तो इसमें क्लास वाइज रिपोर्ट भी इस पे देख सकता है कि ये तो स्कूल का रिपोर्ट होगा. क्लास वाइज मेरे को 9th क्लास का देखना है कि वर्बल एप्टीट्यूड कितना है, न्यूमेरिकल एप्टीट्यूड कितना है, लॉजिकल एप्टीट्यूड कितना है. So this was the I tried to manage within my time limit, and I
Thank
again
you.
come back from where I started. Education management for the students and for the school administration with the help of technology, and making the best use of the psychometric assessment, and suggesting the best fit career to the student through the psychometric assessment in the form of video game. This is what we are trying to come up with. The platform is in the beta version right now. And yes, over to you, Raju. I'll be open to the questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Nitin. We'll come back to you later during the question part. Now, I would request Bindu ma'am. Welcome back, ma'am. And now I would request
Thank you.
to share
Thank you
your
so much. Thank you, IIC, for organizing such a wonderful webinar. You know, every day you are doing that, and this is crossed 100 means you are doing the coolest task, and so good. I congratulate all the organizers who are doing wonderful job behind. And so good afternoon to everybody, all the co-speakers and the participants who are attending the program today. Again, congratulations to you for attending this. I firmly believe that education is the best gift that we can give to our generation. Actually, in adopting 5+3+3+4 model, it recognizes the importance of formative years from age 3 to 8 in shaping the child's future. You know that in India, we have a severe learning crisis. Lot of studies are there behind this, the learning happening in India. As per the major one is by Pradham, and it is called ASER, Annual Status of Education Report. As per ASER report, that in 2019, 51% of grade 1 students can't read textbooks. Around 60% of grade 5 cannot solve arithmetic problems of grade 2. And 41% of grade 7 children, they are not in a position to read the textbooks of grade 4. So this is something, alarming. So somewhere something is going wrong. And in the PISA test, another important, program for international student assessment. And we are in 2009, we attempted, and after that, India was there enough to attend this test. And we are going to attempt in the coming year. So in the 2009 test, the result is again, shocking. It's not good. Out of the 73 countries, India got the position of 72. So that's based on the performance of 15-year-old children in maths, science, and reading. So that's again, shocking, and we understand that learning outcome is not achieved. So that is why the NEP is primarily focusing in attaining foundational literacy and numeracy. Learning outcome must be attained at any cost. That is the key area of this. And the focus on making children school ready in the context of reading, writing, and arithmetic NEP has given major importance. And I would think that NEP is the extension of Right to Education Act, to cover all the children between 3 to 18 years of age. So we are bringing back the children who have been the dropouts. So it will bring back 2 crore out of school children back into the mainstream. So the major shift, the focus is from rote learning to critical thinking and, that creativity, fun learning. And with all these things, less burden, with fun, that we are preparing the children to face the world. And once again, the learning is going to be holistic and integrated, and enjoyable and engaging. All my co-speakers in the beginning has told. And 85% of the cognitive development happens in age group of 3 to 5. So I'm just focusing into that, why it is so, why 85% is given. You know that there are trillions of neurons in the brain, and we need to make connections of the neurons in the brain in the age group of 3. That's very critical. So see, the more you make connections, the more intelligent, the intelligence and emotional intelligence of a child depends upon how good or how far or how often we make connections in the brain, how fast it is connected. So Mahatma Gandhi, this is not something latest. Mahatma Gandhi, we all know about his Nai Thalim, an important philosophy of him, that is knowledge and work are inseparable, he says. So there he has mentioned that, we should not think that there is nothing to study till the age of 5. He mentioned that. So we feel that there is nothing else to study. Most of the parents send their children to school after the age of 5. They disregard the importance of age 3. So NEP states that this is happening fast, at the age of 3. So initially, ideally, ECCE consists of flexible playway method, multi-layered, multifaceted playway method. So that's what is ECCE. So why should only we play? Why there is play? That's the question. There is no, if there is play, who will take care of the curriculum? Parents really object to that. When we use the word play, there is still a mindset that why play? There is no importance to curriculum. Parents often complain. Does it mean that no learning? If we teach through play, does it mean that we teach less? That is again a question. It does not mean that curriculum is less. But again, another theory is there. Right side of the brain develops first. So that happens in this age group, 3 to 6 years. Right side of the brain is actually developing first. So the right side of the brain is actually responsible for the long-term memory. So this right side of the brain development happens through singing, play, and other things, drama, drawing, etc. That is why we give more importance to playway method, because right side of the brain is only active at the time. So we give more importance to that. That means it will, whatever we give into, it will go into the long-term memory. What about the left side of the brain? Left side of the brain is rather our traditional way of learning, like writing and reading, and are more focus on writing. So that's why, when we give more importance to writing, when we ask the child to learn by writing, the child may forget. But once we ask them to learn, when we give a playway method, there will be more retention. So it will go into the long-term memory and there will be more retention. That is why NEP is giving more stress upon playway method. Okay, so that's very, very important. I really want all my teachers who are attending to really understand why this playway method is important and go for that. And this is the first time that Anganwadis are getting, connected with the mainstream schools. So that will be really a transformation in the coming years. And we'll be getting a proper curriculum for that. We are expecting that NCERT would be bringing out with the curriculum, and the teachers would be getting, of course, training. Trained teachers will be handling ECCE. That's again welcome. That till now, the parents send the children to Anganwadi, major reason is that they are getting food. They are getting food, midday meal there. So they disregard the importance of age 3, the kind of connection that we can make in the brain of the child, how it can go to the long-lasting, everlasting memory of a child. So for the first time, this Anganwadi and this age group is getting more importance. Is really welcome. I really appreciate that, and that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bindu ma'am. You talked about these very important part. You said like the most important years are the early years. The most of the brain development happen in those years. You also highlighted the poor status of our education in general, which are also mentioned by ESSER report and the PISA test. You emphasize upon why we need to attain learning outcomes at any cost. You also assessed and shared that NEP, you believe that is an extension to right to education, and how it would help us in bringing back to those around 2 crore students back into this education ecosystem. You also said, and in fact, a lot of educators mentioned that parents are not that much appreciative with with new I would say new innovations or new innovative methods, or like this one playway methods of teaching. You also said that connecting Anganwadis with formal education would really transform our education system. So thank you, Bindu ma'am, for sharing these very important parts and suggestions. I'll come back to you with questions. Thank you for participating and sharing. I'll come back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Now,
much.
with this, I would request Mohammed Ajarji. Ajarji, I welcome you. I would request if you can have your ideas.
Yeah, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for being here. And I'll be speaking on the general on what NEP has covered and what has the features of NEP and the concerns what is there right now, how we are going to go with the roadmap, right? So as a document, NEP is a very futuristic document, visionary document, is what my understanding, and it has covered each and every areas, every sector of the education as such whole. So, for example, if you see, starting from one of the key thing is the covering up, the giving recognition and the importance to the childhood education, early childhood education. That is very, which was not there in the previous education policy as well in the RT Act. This became the part of the education system from early child. That's very, very, very critical decision which has been did in the document. When we get into that details of it, like when we look and see the education department, starting from there, it goes up to teachers as well. It has addressed the teachers' education as well, and changing the format of the B.Ed education system, which was there for 2 years. Now they are making it 4 years as a policy, and that is very welcome initiative from the Kasturi Rangan committee. Thanks for them, right? So that is something which is comes up. Third part, what they are including, what I have understood is giving recognition for inclusive education, where the child who is a slow learner, and where they are taking them into the part of the education system. That is something which is very critical, which is for the future of it. And the governance also they have addressed it. They have addressed the governance of the education system as such, right? And accreditation of the education policy, accreditation of the education. What is not right now, if in that till now what they have covered in the school education, if you look at it, one of the key features is that the model of education, the whole infrastructure, the structure of the education itself is being changed now. 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, right? That is something which is a welcome step, and going forward, being the India being going to be a powerhouse of economy and the industrial revolution which has happened, and the digital revolution which we are in. This is something which will breed entrepreneurs in our system, And one of the things which have in the system itself, what they have done is multiple exit and entry options in higher education as well. So that has been covered in the education policy as well. That is something which is very welcome move. And one of the other things which have addressed is mother tongue multilingualism. That is not sticking to one language, instead two plus one or more than two language. That is something which is welcome. And vocational, co-curricular and extracurricular activities in developing the whole holistic development of the child, as well as the focusing on 21st century skills. They have given additional importance to vocational, extracurricular, co-curricular, and the report card as well, which will include skills and capabilities. And one of the other thing which they have addressed as well as is the social emotional learning of the child, which is very in the terms of now we are in a pandemic era, and we are in pandemic situation, and children are learning digitally. But the social emotional learning is also has been taken care in this, has to be taken care, and it has been taken care in the education policy as well. Apart from that, focusing on education, they are focused on National Research Foundation, which is helpful for research of the education. That is something which is very welcome move, though India has not seen that. So this is something which is we are seeing that. Okay. Apart from that, online education or technical education has been recognized as one of the education. That is something which very good. And we know that pandemic, most of the schools, all these schools have been running schools online, and this, through digital medium, we are sitting here and we are having a discussion on NEC policy. That is something which they have recognized in the English education policy, and it is going to be there for the next generation. So that is something which I would recommend this. And apart from that, the adult education, addressing the adult education and making them curriculum, and those who have not learned, making them literate, and gross enrollment ratio, which they are achieving 100% gross enrollment ratio, and gross for higher education it is 50% by 2035. It is something which is very welcome move. This is what I'm seeing here. Okay, and the whole higher education system is getting revamped. So which will I make sure in, if we implement in this in its spirit, I think it's a great document and a great move in terms of the future for the education system as a whole. Taking the stakeholders from management, parents, students, country citizens, everyone, it's a great step which we have started. The concerns which we are right now, I see after seeing reading the document and whatever I have discussion. One of the things is assessment part of the system. The education system is something which is left untouched there. We don't have a roadmap. How the assessment pattern is going to be there? Is it going to be flexible, or is it like to be 3, 5, 8, 10, or how we going to? That is something which is very questionable. Second point is the implementation, how we are going to implement. The teachers need to be trained. The current model education system has not, I don't think so. There is a huge gap when compared to the this document and the current education. There is a huge gap. It's going to be 360-degree transformation. So for that, we need teachers training and teachers implementation. We need teachers training. That is something which is need to address. How we are going to go about it, right? So this is number two. Number three is the funding part of it. Though the intention of the document, and I can see the huge vision document, but if you look at the recent budget, which has been allotted for the education system, it has reduced. And if you look at it, it is reduced to some 6 crores has been reduced, less than the previous year. So that is something which is alarming for me as an educator. When the intention of the government is this such a visionary document, and I see when I compare to other systems in the UK and Finland systems, and this education, somewhere we are correlating to that, and it requires huge funding for this in terms of research, in terms of setting up institutes, in terms of digital infrastructure, and in terms of training, and a lot to go in terms of. So there I see something which is a huge gap, which we as individuals, we need to start addressing that. So in a nutshell, what I've understood and what I've seen is it's a great document, and it's a required document. It's a required step, and we need to acknowledge and congratulate for the document for the Kasturi Rangan committee and for the government, and hope we see the support from each and every aspect, every you know every corner of the country. Given the diverse factor of the country, each state and each country, each state and the South India, North India, the East and Western India, there is going to be huge implementation challenges and something which we need to address from what is possible from our side. So I thank Indian Education Council and as well as Lalaji School and Solutions for inviting me and sharing my thoughts on school education policy. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for everyone for patiently listening to me.
Thank you, Ajharji. You highlighted the very important ideas mentioned in NEP. You talked about the changes in BA and are very welcome steps. You also, mentioned that NEP has an important focus upon inclusive education, and it has potential to, reach out to everyone. You also talked about that recognition of online education is very important because it shows the practical aspects of this NEP side. You also talked about that NEP lacks in it lacks in giving a clear roadmap for assessment. We need to we are yet to find the modern age assessment tools, and NEP to some extent fails in giving us some roadmap. You talked about two key challenges. One is going to be in teachers training. Second is going to be in the finance part. I absolutely agree with you, sir. A lot of other participants have also raised these concerns. Teachers training, finance are going to be key challenge. So thank you, Ajarji. I will come back to you with questions. Now I would request the last key speaker for this session, Vinayak Sharma ji. Vinayak, I would request if you can have your ideas, your perspective.
Thank you, Rajulji. As I said that I'll be mentioning how music is a part of NEP. So at the onset, I would like to say that the thought process that is currently missing in the school masses are that there is a general lack of curriculum for music, lack of skilled teachers, lack of awareness of what are the different music genres that can be taught, how a career-oriented music education can improve the child's future options, availability of instruments, and a dedicated infrastructure for music in schools. Now, in 2018, a 5-year nationwide study was conducted by Mysore University scholar DVK Vasudevan. It's available online. I would request everybody to read it once. Now, the purpose of the study was to analyze music education in schools across India. The ratings from central schools and state level boards were compared to those of the schools in the Western countries with special focus on the US. Now, the studies found out that while the government of India, the Ministry of HR, NCERT profess the value of music education, but there has been a total failure to incorporate these ideas in most of the Indian schools. Now, gladly, the NEP lays focus on music as I had mentioned that it has been mentioned 20 times in the policy itself. We all know that the cognitive scientists, educationalists, and the learning experts have produced innumerable studies that establish the value of music education for children. Uh, but owing to the pressures of modern living, not every child has access to some basic level of music learning. This integration is mandated by many boards, including CBSC and ICSC, but effective implementation has still been beyond the reach of the schools, even those schools who have the best of the intentions. Like there are lots of challenges while bringing this into the picture. Now, and you will see that very few schools encourage students to opt for music as a mainstream subject. Now with NEP 2020, that demarcation of a music as co-curricular activity has been removed and it stands equivalent to any mainstream subject. Now, as I was saying that it was treated as a non-scholastic subject earlier, so students who are also committed to pursuing subjects such as music find it difficult to juggle academics with music in the current environment. I would like to mention Jack Ma. Everybody knows who Jack Ma is, the founder of Alibaba.com. Um, he was asked in an interview, being a visionary, that what would you want the children of the future to learn so that they stand out from the masses? He replied that we should teach our children the performing arts such as painting, encourage them with writing skills so that they can write stories. We should teach them dance, we should teach them music, which cannot be replicated and automated by robots. Because even most of the basic tasks such as calculations, accounting, decision making, risk analysis can be automated even today by entering data into the system to get a meaningful output. However, what cannot be replicated is human creativity. And if that is bought into a child at an early age, I think it can do wonders to his confidence. Now, this is where Torrens, we stepped into India in 2017, and we have been successfully laying structure to the music education in around 80 plus partnered schools within 3 years. And we are also partnered with close to 200 plus schools in the US since 2010. We provide the necessary infrastructure at zero cost to schools, a modernized curriculum for music education, uh, which is both for instrumental learning as well as non-instrumental learning, that is based on the NEP 2020 philosophy. Uh, we provide young and trained skilled manpower also who can adapt to the new methodologies of teaching, ensuring the day-to-day maintenance of the music instrument equipment is done at zero hassles to the school. We also provide a performance platform for the students through our national band contest that is attended by a live audience of more than 7,000 people in Pune. We try to bring in the highest of globally accepted music standards and techniques, both in terms of technology for online learning and as for the in-school on-site music education as well. We deliver it at a very economical cost so that the students of any economical background can have access to structured music education, which they truly deserve. Now, I believe along with teaching the mainstream subject for purely examination purposes, we need to teach the students confidence to excel as well. This can be achieved by teaching them music and inculcating within them the ability to perform on stage as well as in life. Uh, I would just like to share my screen to show you what we are doing exactly. So these were the rooms given to us by a school in Pune. We just need these empty rooms. There is no setup cost involved from the school at the onset. And this is what we do to it. Now we ensure each child has an instrument in their hand while learning, and the school doesn't have to bother about maintenance, the breakage. This wall artwork, carpeting, studio level is done by us. For the instrument room, there will be a dedicated music teacher for each instrument. Now, for keyboard room, there will be a keyboard teacher. For guitar room, there will be a guitar teacher. As you can see, each student has an instrument in their hand while playing. Now, this teacher I would like to mention is an engineer who dropped out of a high-paying job because he wanted to follow his passion for music, which he's doing through Torrent. So we are glad. So we have got a team of engineers, dentists, as well as college dropouts. But one thing is common is the passion for music. So with that, I would like to conclude my remarks, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Vinayak, for sharing how music can really, increase the efficiency. So with this, we come to the last part of the session, the question part. We'll start, sharing the questions with all the key speakers. And before I start sharing questions, I'll just take a minute in explaining what exactly we have been doing at School Lalaji. I'll just take a minute in that, and after that, we'll start sharing questions to all the key speakers. So, some of you are already aware with the, with School Lalaji Solutions, we are India's largest one-stop solution provider for educational institutions. We are working with somewhere around 4,500 institutions. We are present in 42 cities. We help educational institutions in finding right solutions. We help primarily three ways: buying right thing from right people at right price. We also help institutions in selling their old stuff. We also help institutions in raising money, that may be in terms of loans or fee financing. Why there is a need for a platform like School Lalaji? In India today we have thousands of companies which are offering wonderful programs, wonderful services, wonderful products. But do we really have the bandwidth as a school leader to meet everyone, to understand their product in detail? So for that, we come into the picture, we understand your school, we understand your taste, we understand your actual requirement, your budgetary limitations, and then we connect you with the right people, right kind of suppliers. We help institutions in these areas: the smart class procurement, uniform, insurance, the diesel, solar, language lab, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classroom, healthcare, robotics, STEM, STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that we'll save at least 5 to 7% of your annual expenditure. Just for an example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees, for different schools in one category, that is bus insurance. These are some major highlights: 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classroom, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training program, 56 old buses we sold from one school to other, and uniform in 42 schools we had installed. By the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. So thank you. I'll end here. So with this, I'll present my first question. So I would request Padmija ma'am, if I may present the first question to you. Padmija ma'am, do we have your presence? Okay, so I'll present the first question to Gurmeet ma'am.
Yeah.
Gurmeet ma'am, this
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
So yeah. This question has come from Miss Khushbu Sharma. She is an assistant teacher with SRVS School, Sikandarpur, Mughal Sarai. The question says, how will the vocational courses be included into our formal education?
See, when you're talking about the skill development also, so when we include the vocational courses, like we have got the vocational courses with us in our school, and we have given the choices to the students also. So in place of the subjects, like the fifth subject which has in class 11th and 12th, you can always give the vocational courses to the students. And there you don't need to recruit a full-time teacher. So if it is possible, the schools are allowed to have the part-time teachers also, and also collaboration with industries. So this is what they have told, that if in case you want to have collaboration, plus what happens is, if we deeply look into, we all have got in our school the carpenters and the electricians who are working in the school. Now these people, if they could be included with the help of these teachers, and they can both collaborate and help out the students in learning the electrical equipments, or maybe even the carpentry and all, it will be a great help. We have, say, with us a typist, we have with us a person who does the photocopying, and he also does binding. Now, if this person, we gave him some classes to take and teach binding to the students, so book binding and all. So these are little things which we need to explore and see that within the school structure, what can be done and how we can include it. And believe me, the vocational courses, number one, their markings are very good. So students have a 50% and a 50% sort of marking in class 11 and 12, or say a 60 and a 40%, which right now none of the subjects as such as. So it is very good if students take up. So you have a librarian. Now keeping a librarian just in library, I don't think we actually use his knowledge. So why don't we have the library science subject? So you have NCC till class 9 and 10. So you can always have the NCC subject in classes 11 and 12. So more options should be given to students in that. And I think it's easily possible. And in Varanasi, say for us, the toy industry, that is the cart work, is very good. The carpet industry, which is very near to us at Badoi, or the sari weaving, which is very near. So we do a
Right.
lot of projects also on that. So it's
Right.
possible, and we should include that.
Right. Thank you, Gurmeet ma'am. And now I would request Padmija ma'am, if I may present this question to you.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, Mr. Rajul, I'm really sorry. I think you called out my name earlier. I was just attending an emergency call. Thank you
no, no,
and sorry. Please, please, yeah.
So the question has come from Miss Ruby Singh. Ruby Singh is a teacher with Durga Prasad Vidyaniketan, Kanpur. The question says, will new education policy give enough exposure to practical things for better clearing of concepts among students, so that the students may learn things not restricted within the boundaries? So I would request, if just try to rephrase the question. If you can highlight two, three points mentioned in NEP, Patanjali ma'am, where it encourages and it promises that it would create that kind of environment.
Yes, I think my entire presentation was based on practical thinking, which is
Right.
the core objective of NEP. And my first, I think the second slide itself said that there is going to be reduction of content. So the actual curriculum, so Ms. Ruby, to answer your question, the content is going to, get reduced in terms of a lot of information that we actually impart currently, and a lot of practical approach is what is going to be tapped, and the methodology with which we are going to do and approach the content along with the children. And mostly it has to be a practical, integrated and holistic approach. Only then we will be able to build their skills in the classroom, which will then lead to a road to get vocational guidance. And then once you get guidance for a vocational course, you will easily take your skills ahead, and with that practical approach you will be able to perform better. So definitely NEP is aiming at a more practical, integrated and holistic approach towards the content that is going to be delivered. And I give a lot of examples of how we can have a practical approach to various content that can be delivered in various subjects. I hope it answers your question.
Yes,
The core
absolutely,
objective of NEP is a practical approach towards education.
right.
That's how, with the Playway method, a practical, hands-on, experiential learning, children will do their best in the classroom.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Padmaja ma'am. I've received your request that you have some other meeting. I believe we will conclude in next 10 minutes or so. I would request if you can manage, please stay with us for next 10 minutes. We would like to end with your concluding remark. And now I would request Anjuji, if I may present this one to you. This question is, in fact, a lot of people have asked this question. How do you see the future of online education? Let's say once school become normally operational, so how do you see the volume of online education? Anjuji.
Yes, online education is what we are all doing these days. And the volume, of course, has grown exponentially because of this pandemic these days. But still, we need to have this continually going on, not only with now with physical learning, but of course with the online as blended learning or flip learning, so that children are used to it, teachers are used to it, and definitely it will add to the learning exposure experience. That is what we are finally aiming to have, that end goal of education, that everyone technology savvy. Now we are all becoming, yes, with education, with training of teachers, and even for the children, if we add on, this will be definitely going to take a long run. Online
Thank
learning
you.
would be, that is a
Right.
need of the hour.
Right.
Mr.
Thank you.
Raju, can I just add over here?
Please,
Mr.
please.
Raju, may I add?
Sure.
I think, what Ms. Anju says is absolutely right. And, we should now stop discussing advantages and disadvantages of technology. We must just embrace technology, because that's going to be the way ahead. And this blended learning is really going to help children. I'll give you a small example. Like if we have a board examination generally in certain schools, due to lack of space, we may give a holiday to the primary students. Now we don't need to do that at all. They can stay at home and our teachers can impart education through online learning. And so there is no, unnecessary day gone, spent without education. So in fact, the online learning is going to be the way ahead. So let's embrace education, all of us, teachers, students, parents, and take it ahead very positive.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. We agree with both of you, Patanjali ma'am and Anju ma'am. And now I would request Bindu ma'am, if I may present this question to you. This question has come from Ms. Richa Prakash. She's a school head with the Ellen House Public School, Kanpur. Richaji's question says how NEP is going to help us in mapping holistic health of a child, especially your mental health. Bindu ma'am, you are a psychology expert, student, learner, so I'm sure you'll be happy with this question, and you are the right authority to answer this question. Bindu ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. Holistic development in all aspects means now we are taking care of mind, body, and everything. Intellectual, cognitive, and emotional. All aspects are taken care of. All the core pillars of education will be taken care of through NEP, the new suggestions. So all the activities from the rote learning, it is going to be the shift is going to be changed to experiential learning and competency based learning, and a lot of playway method activity oriented. So children are not passive anymore. With the introduction of bagless days and all, they are happily coming to school. There is fun and interaction, and all the critical thinking, on the creativity thinking, all the importance given to life skill education, heritage India. What else? Everything is given importance. There is nothing which is left out. All kinds of children are also taken care of, even the gifted children and the challenger children. All types of children are taken care of. So this is completely a comprehensive outlook and holistic. Definitely, it will remove the burden of learning and assessment. That is again a wonderful change which is going to happen. It's a 360-degree assessment, and the importance will be for the formative assessment, not for the summative assessment. And board exams will be repeated twice in a year, so children will get opportunities more. And in class 8 and all, you'll be having 5 onwards, there will be exams. So see, the 2 times an exam a year. So all these actually, they won't have a fear for examinations. And a holistic report card, a wonderful idea again. Now the grades are not given importance, or the marks are given importance, but we talk about the child as he or she is, as such. So the mind is taken care of. The mental health will be, of course, taken care, and the whole schooling will be a happy schooling, and all the value system, everything will be. See, all these, the implementation of all this lies in our hands. So everything is good, when you hear about the idea, it is good. It is not something utopian dream. It is in our hands to make everything happen in our school. So all the educators, it is a joint responsibility. We cannot give that to the government alone. It's a joint responsibility. So we have to ensure that the child is happy in the school. So the happiness means it's a term which comprises everything, physically as well as emotionally and mentally, cognitively, spiritually. It is comprises everything. So I hope my answer will
Yes,
do
yes,
suffice.
sure, absolutely. Thank you, Bindu ma'am. Now I would request Ajarji, if I may present this one to you. This question has come from Ms. Anushri Tripathi. Anushri ji is assistant teacher with Sunbeam Sun City School and Hostel, Varanasi. The question says how this NEP is beneficial and different from the previous policy. So Ajarji, if you can highlight some 2 key differences of 2020 policy and the 1986 policy. I'm sure, like we were not in that era, so but I'm sure
Yeah,
you must have got some ideas.
yeah. Thank you for asking this question. I would list out hundreds things. There is a shift from the whole policy from 1986 NCF to this one. Okay, number one. Number two, see the whole intention, like where teacher oriented learning was there, it is now transformed into what is the learner required. That is a fundamental transformation happening in the new education policy. What the child wants is something which is being addressed now, and that is based on the future. What future of the country, like what future is for the children, what future is skills are required. So in that aspect, the academic, as a document, it is covered everything. There are certain areas which has to be addressed, and as educators, as teachers, we have to address ourselves and take steps to implement that in its vision and spirit. Let me give one example. Okay, one example is bringing early childhood education as a part of the school system, preparing for them to get prepared for the grade one. That is something which is very critical. Number one. Number two, addressing their 21st century skill or 21st century competencies to be brought in the national education policy, which was not there before. Something which is very critical. Number three, bringing in vocational and bringing in extracurricular co-curricular activities and the difference of report cards, the way it is going to be, it is something which is not there before. So these are my few. I can go on and give.
Right, right. But there's a time is
But
there's a
yeah,
I know that you can go on. You have lots of ideas, but there's a time limit. So thank you, Ajarji,
thank you.
for highlighting. Absolutely. So we all agree with this policy is a learner-centric policy, student-centric policy. And this is the first policy which has come after that liberalization. In fact, a lot of people believe that this is a 15-year late policy. It should have come in 2004 or 5. So thank you, Ajarji, for that. And now I would request Nitin Nakwalji, if I may present this one to you. Uh, Nitin, question as says like the question says that this policy gives huge flexibility to students in terms of choosing subjects, post ninth standard. So, what are your assessment? Don't you think like it would create more confusion among students in terms of career selection?
Uh, Initially, yes, Rajul. Till now, the students were divided into three or four categories only. That is non-medical, medical, and most of them had very clear-cut idea. कि, okay, if I have taken non-medical, I'll have to go to the engineering. Most of the students would go for engineering. But now with NEP offering more subjects, there'll be initially, yes, more confusion if I have taken the combination of physics, chemistry, and along with that, I have not taken mathematics. I have taken music, for example. So, what is the career? What is the course that I'm going to opt for? The good thing in the NEP is that the change is not only at the school level, there is going to be the change at the higher level as well in the colleges, where there will be more courses on offer for such students. And I'm sure the technological platform like us will come forward and solve this problem. For example, if I give the example of our platform, wherein a student can choose which subject he has taken in class 11th. If he has taken physics, accounts, and music, then what are the courses that he is eligible to do? So initially, this confusion would be there, but opportunities that are on offer are humongous. But I would like to rephrase this question a little bit and tweak it a little bit. Real confusion is now that I have more options, now the confusion that which of them is best for me, this confusion needs to be cleared. Other thing is all we can help it sort it out with the help of technology, but which of the option, now the opportunities are more, all the doors horizons have been opened for me. Now the confusion is which of them is best for me. That confusion needs to be solved and sorted out.
Thank you. Nitin, for that. Now I would request Vinayak. Vinayak, this will be the last question for the day. A lot of educators have asked this question. If NEP talks about music or some co-curricular activities, as Bindu ma'am said, like parents are not very much appreciative about these kind of things. You know, how do you think like schools would able to manage infrastructure? For example, if let's say 10% student in every school would like to adopt, opt for music. So do you think like we do have the schools are going to have infrastructure resources? Do we have that number of trainers available?
Uh, Basically, Rajulji, I think school might have the resources to build an infrastructure, but where the schools are facing a challenge is the day-to-day maintenance of the instruments and the equipment. Because, as I mentioned before, that there is a strict set of SOPs that are followed by each and every educational institute. So, suppose there are 20 guitars in a room. Um, every day, if 20 students are using those guitars, there will be breakage of strings. So, in case a teacher needs a replacement of a string, they will write a letter to the principal. Then the principal will give an approval. It will go to the accounts office. The funds of 200 rupees will be sanctioned, and eventually that getting of string uh, will be delayed by 1 to 1.5 months time. So for that time, that instrument is of no use to the child. So setting up the infrastructure is not a big challenge, but maintenance and day-to-day upkeep of that instrument and the infrastructure is where the challenge lies. And as far as availability of skilled instructors and manpower go, like as I mentioned, in our case, we have every teachers, even from dentists to engineers to college dropouts. But the common focus where they lie is their interest is towards music. They have a keen sense of passion for music. So even if a person is not cleared his college, but the reason for him not clearing it because his passion was keyboard, his passion was guitar. He didn't go in sense sync with the maths and the physics and the chemistry that was being taught. So he had to drop out. But I would like to mention there are innumerable career options available for music also. In one of our schools in Missouri, St. George College, one of the students he shifted to Australia after class 12 and he opened his own music academy and he's doing a part-time course there. Now that academy is one of the most successful guitar academies in Sydney right now. And he's just hardly a 22-year-old kid and he's earning a decent amount of money because he made a name for himself in that particular instrument. Platform is available to everybody. There is Instagram, there is YouTube, there is Twitter. So earlier platform was not there, but if you are exceptionally skilled at something, you can get 1 million views in 10 days and people will know who you are. So that challenge has gone right now. So like even if we can get these people into the education system so that they can carry their passion, their skill and transfer it to the students at an early age, I think the skilled manpower availability as regards music can be tackled at that way. So we should not focus on like what their qualifications are, but we should focus on what their passions are and try to give them the necessary skill sets to enact well in a school environment.
Right. Thank you,
Yeah.
Vinayak. And with this, we come to the end of this very special session. I would request all our speakers, if we can have your concluding remark. And I have another request, like while sharing your concluding remark, we have established one very interesting practice that while sharing your concluding remark, if you can also share one innovative idea or thought which you would like to implement if you get a chance to become Minister of Education of our country. So what would be that idea that you would like to implement, as a Minister of Education, as an authority? So I'll request, Anju ma'am, if we may begin with you, your concluding remark and what would be your idea if you become Minister of Education, and then I'll come to Padma ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. It was such a wonderful platform and such a, takeaways, many takeaways from all of you, from all the speakers. They were fantastic and really a lovely time we had. 2 hours, we didn't know where it went by. So yes, as and if I get a chance, I would just encourage more and more of circle time rather than reading, learning, theoretically and sitting and all that. I would make sure that every class would spend time together in a circle, having sharing their opinions and sharing, taking away from the other children. That would definitely help to have a balanced society where everyone would get a chance to listen. So that is my
Right, absolutely.
thank you
So
all
that's
once again.
very innovative thought. Thank you, Anju ma'am, for that and for joining. Now I would request Padmja ma'am, ma'am, your concluding remark, and thank for accepting our request, for being with us for those extra minutes. So your concluding remarks and what would be your priority if you become Minister of Education for the Union of India, not just for Maharashtra?
Okay, so my concluding remark would be positive and accept all changes with a very open mind so that progress will always be yours. Because it's very important whenever there's a change, there's a lot of hustle bustle around it. But let's look at the positive side of any change that comes into our lives or into our careers, and let's take it ahead very well. And if I was the Minister of Education, I would go back to my old times of the Indian culture. Like, I would have more Gurukul type of education, which was actually holistic, integrated, skill-based education. So, it is a very huge vision. It would be a dream come true. But what I would prefer is that kind of open place for education will bring out the best in a child. So, and there are many countries abroad that are already adopting it. And I wish we can go back to our ancient culture, appreciate, respect our ancient culture, and bring more of our mythology into what education is actually about. Okay. And I would conclude it because being a little very Indian at heart and a patriotic, I always end a session with a Hindi quote. So I would say that मुश्किलों से भाग जाना आसान होता है, हर पहलू जिंदगी का इम्तिहान होता है, डरने वालों को मिलता नहीं कुछ भी जिंदगी में, और लड़ने वालों के कदमों में आसमान होता है.
Right.
That would
लड़ने
be my
वालों के कदमों में
conclusion.
आसमान होता है. So wonderful, wonderful. So thank you. And educators proved this during the pandemic that you fought with the situation and you got the asman. You created those
Oh
bridges.
yes.
You learned so many things. In that very short span of time. And so thank you, Patrija ma'am, for that. And
And salute
now,
to all the teachers across our
absolutely,
country.
we
Salute
all
to
do
them.
that.
Yes.
We all agree with you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Now I would request Vinayak, Mr. Vinayak Sharma. Vinayak, if I may ask you for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority as Minister of Education?
Um, I think even in the last budget, there was such a lot of impetus announced by the government for MSME sector, this sector, that sector, but education sector was, I think, totally removed from. They didn't even think that there was something called education sector, so they didn't allocate any funds. So I feel with the necessary resources given from the education ministry to the schools, to the institutions that really need them to improve their infrastructure, to improve their facilities, to give, because ultimately those facilities are being given to the students, and it's very imperative that those facilities are provided to the children. So as an education minister, I think the effective allocation of resources needs to be there to all public schools as well as private schools. There needs to be some sort of an impetus given to them.
Thank you, Vinayak, for that. Now I would request Mr. Nitin Nagpal. Nitinji, now this time you have got sufficient time to think and organize your so many innovative ideas. So Nitinji, over to you. What would be your concluding remark and what would be your priority as Minister of Education? Yeah.
Thank you, Rajul. Thank you. As concluding remarks, uh, learn, unlearn, and relearn. These are the three pillars of education. In the last 3 decades, we learned certain ways to teach our students to assess them. Now, NEP makes sure that we unlearn them and we relearn the new methods to teach our students to assess them. And as far as the education minister is concerned, uh, I would like to uh, give back the 6,000 crore rupees which has been cut from the education budget in the recent budget, which was announced 2 days ago. It is very disheartening that NEP, after NEP, we needed more funds, and instead 6,000 crores has been taken from the education budget. So that
To do that,
today,
you would need
today
an
the
additional
education
charge of finance ministry, right? So thank you, Nitin. Thank you for that. And now I would request Bindu ma'am. Ma'am, if we can have your concluding remark and your priority as Minister of Education.
Thank you so much. It's such an interesting question that you asked. Anyway, hats off to you once again for organizing and all. It was really a wonderful experience for me. Although, as other Vinayak, Mr. Vinayak and other has pointed out, 6% of GDP has already been set for this education sector. But I believe that more resource is needed. This education is the best investment that we can have. The dividend we can take in the later years, isn't it? So I believe that that's one thing. And another thing, what I would do, I would request all educators and organizations like you to organize, orient parents and public. Still now they believe that mark is important. So that shift is needed, shift of thought is needed. That paradigm shift from the Western thought to the Indian thought is needed to implement NEP 2020. So that orientation must be there in the all nook and corner of the country. The parents and the public must be aware of NEP. Now only the educators are talking and talking, but we need ultimately the help of all the stakeholders. So parents must be aware, teachers must be really oriented, and with the help of that, we can really implement. So if I were the minister, I would definitely ask the parents and the teachers to be oriented towards NEP and the shift of focus from rote learning to the conceptualized competency-based or experiential-based learning. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Bindu ma'am. So your focus would be on parents along with your teachers. So thank you for that. Now, before I go to Gurpreet ma'am, I would request Ajhar ji, if we can have your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you become the Minister of Education of India?
Yeah. Uh, so, what I would concluding remarks is, yeah, it's a very wonderful discussion, and people from various South Tamil, everybody is there in the discussion, and we had various perspectives. That's a good takeaway. And number two is my priority will be, if I become the education minister, first is allocate funds and give priority for the maximum amount to the education sector, help schools to implement NEP. That is my priority. Whatever, whether by taking the parents, students, teachers, everybody into hold the account and share their responsibilities and implement that.
Right. So finance would be also, you would also need that additional charge of finance ministry, Ajhar ji. So now with this, I would request Gurpreet ma'am, we would like to end the session with your concluding remark. And, what would be your priority if you become Minister of Education of our country? Gurmeet ma'am. Ma'am, you are on mute. Ma'am, you are on mute, Gurmeet ma'am. You, I think Gurmeet ma'am is facing. Ma'am, are you unable to unmute yourself?
Rajul, a very interesting question has come in the chat box for you.
Education minister must inquire well the
No, no,
condition and
so
limitation.
the question, the one above.
Is there any
Is there
certificate?
any certificate
Yes,
provided for this?
we would be, giving, offering certificates to all the registered participants. But that we would be doing in a dedicated ceremony. We would be organizing a dedicated ceremony, online ceremony for that. We would, keep you posted. We'll announce that very soon. Maybe in the end of the February or in the beginning of the March, we would announce those ceremonies. For school leaders who are participating, there would be a dedicated ceremony. Yes, Gurmeet ma'am has joined with a second account. So Gurmeet ma'am, can we have your, yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Actually, there was some problem with the system. So sorry for that. If I would be the Minister of Education. My first priority would be to have central education system in all over India, because I don't want a child of say UP to suffer because he's a CBSE student or an ICSE student. So one education system for all the students is required very much. And my last concluding note would be that give lot of opportunities to students to explore themselves, because nobody knows their true potential. So in the school, we should give a lot of opportunity to all the students to participate, explore, and also believe that each child can do something, and provide them the best platform in the school, whether it is music, dance, sports, anything. And every child is different, every child has a potential. So let's give them this opportunity to the students to explore their own potential.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the focus on individual student, child-centric education system. So thank you, Gurmeet ma'am. We all agree with your remark. So big thanks once again all the participants, all the key speakers, Gurmeet ma'am, Padmaja ma'am, Ajhar ji, Bindu ma'am, Vinayak ji, Nitin Nagpal ji, Anju ma'am. Thank you all for joining and making this 101st session a truly special one. Thank you. We need to end the session here. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for organizing it. And it was
Thank you
wonderful.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you all.
everyone.